All right, guys, so this is part two of our PowerPoint that's going to basically enhance our use of animations and transitions. All right, so in part one, we basically said that we were making trivia questions and fixing a pre-made PowerPoint up until slide 6. So you should have numbers on the side of your presentations that basically go from 1 to 5 because we do have um, a title slide up here. Okay. So now let's go ahead and continue this presentation because like I said, there's 18 slides in here and this is part two. So you might notice that the directions might change as I go through this presentation and find little holes. All right, and let's do this. So it says right click in the space before slide 1 and add a section that says space. All right, so sections. When you're working with sections, you're basically just taking a presentation and dividing it into sections. And if you click in the little space right above slide 1 and you right click, you can say add section. All right, and I want you to go ahead and right click and say rename so that we can call this section space. Okay, and then click on rename. Notice how when I click on the section, I actually click on all of my slides in the presentation, okay? And that's that's your little preview into sections. All right, right click below slide 6 and add a section. Rename the section history. So you're gonna say add section, rename section, and we're gonna call this one history. All right. Add 4 new slides and come up with a format that would reflect history. This could be a picture or a gradient fill or any other kind of background format that reflects history. All right, so add 4 slides. So new slide, new slide, new slide, new slide. And again, we need to format this background in order to reflect history. What I might do is maybe Google search an image, kind of like this one, that might reflect history, or maybe like if I'm gonna do like 4 questions about maybe like U.S. presidents, maybe I'll get like an American flag for my background, American flag. Anyway, I'm gonna pause this real quick and do an image. Okay, and you can kind of see here with a quick little search of images here, all I did was history, backgrounds, wallpaper. The word wallpaper actually tells your search system to pull very, very large images because wallpapers are the images that you would actually have in the background of your slides. I kind of like this one, just a map of the US. This is really cool too, the Sistine Chapel, but it's so busy that I'm kind of worried that it might hide some of my text. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this image. Notice how when I actually do save an image, no matter what the image is, I'm going to wait for it to load and I'm going to actually open it up all the way, which means I'm going to click on the image, get out of Google image search. You will probably come into this with just about every image that you pick. What you don't want to do, come on. All right, so scratch that. What you don't want to do is just kind of right click on this thumbnail and say save image as. I'm going to go ahead and right click on the larger image here, even though I can kind of see it's a little pixelated and that's not really what I want. Let's see. Looks like this one is too, a little bit. Well, let's see how it looks. I'm going to go save image as. I'm going to select my H drive. Actually, I'm going to put it on my desktop. You select your H drive. When I do put it on my desktop, right now it just says download, and that's a dead giveaway that you're not actually downloading the actual image file. So I'm going to scrap that. All right, guys. So let's continue this. Trying to get our historical backgrounds in here. So all I did was a Google search on historical background wallpapers. And I'm going to right click and say save image as. I'm just going to actually put this one on my desktop right now. Make sure you guys don't ever save to your desktop. But since I'm not actually using this one past tomorrow, I'm just going to kind of throw it in here. It's called hist back, like history background. Get it? All right. And then let's go ahead and go over here. I obviously do not want this space background for these 4 slides for my history section. So let's go ahead and go to the design tab and let's go to format background. Let's go to picture, text, or fill, and let's go ahead and find that file that I just put on my desktop. Wow, these are from last year. These were old. Oh, that's gonna be fun. I should even. Never mind. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Okay, let's go back to my desktop. And there's my history background right there. Ah, sweet. Check that out. It's a great looking background. Pretty high quality. So here's my thing. If I hit apply to all, what do you think is going to happen here? Is the section going to keep it from being applied to all of these slides, or am I going to have to go into every slide here and adjust? Let's see. Yeah, look at that. Let's not do that. Let's undo that. There. All right. So, yeah, that looks pretty bad. All right. So, yeah, unfortunately here, the only thing I can really do is kind of select this and go ahead and fill it with the same background and say insert for all of my history slides. I don't think there's a magic wand here that I can use. And let's do the same thing for this one. All right, so now let's go ahead and revisit our directions real quick. All right, copy the numbers on the left-hand side of slide 4 and paste it into each of your new slides. Update the numbers so that they are in sequence. All right, so so I'm literally just going to take the number here from slide 6. I'm going to right click and say copy. And I'm going to go ahead and go to slide number 7. And I'm going to paste it right in there. Okay, same thing with slide number 8. Paste it right in there. So we're kind of building the same style. We're keeping our theme going here with our numbers. And let's go ahead and change this. So this is number 5. So technically this should be number 6. Change the number sequence so that they're in order. This is going to be number 7. This one's going to be number 8. This one's going to be number 9. Alright. The purple also looks really bad in the background of these numbers here. So let's go ahead and go up here to drawing tools and let's go ahead and find a new shape style that we can use for this number that's actually going to look pretty good with our background. And you might have a different shape style than I do, just depending on what background you chose. You know, try to get your colors to actually work well together. And if you're like me and you're just kind of challenged in that area, this is going to be tricky for you. Even stuff like this is kind of cool. Without the background, for these faded backgrounds, that's kind of cool. I might run with one of those for this particular map. That one actually looks pretty good with my particular map. Now, I can probably, let me see here. All right, so just like your animation painter, you actually have something that will copy formatting as well, and it's called a format painter. If you don't see it, make sure you open up your presentation all the way and you'll see format painter. So let's go ahead and click in this. I basically want this kind of style to carry over to my 4 slides, 8, 9, and 10. So I'm going to click here, I'm going to click format painter, I'm going to click on slide 8, and I'm going to just click on that, number 7 there, okay? So now I'm going to click on number 7. If you don't want format painter to go away, if you're painting more than one thing, you can double click it. And now I'm on format painter and I can just go to slide number 9, click that, slide number 10, click that, and I can quickly, with my format painter, and come up here to turn it off and just click once. With my format painter, I can apply the formatting that I set in slide number 7 to the rest of my slides without actually having to go up there and do it every single time. So it's looking pretty good so far. Now, let's look at our directions again. Insert text boxes for questions and answers that reflect trivia of a historical nature. So you might want to just kind of pick like presidents or maybe presidential election trivia since we are in an election year. And then we have to add pictures to go along with each of the new slides, add shapes and animations to go along with your pictures. Think of the shapes and animations that are already on the first four slides. How can you use these shapes and animations to make your images really pop? All right. So that's going to be the hard part for some of you guys. All right, so I'm gonna do my trivia question about like presidents and stuff like that, and fun facts about presidents, because there are fun facts about our presidents, even though most of the facts that we study in school are probably pretty boring. So we're gonna say insert text box here. My first question is I'm gonna ask, who was the first president to be photographed? I should actually say the first U.S. president. Let's be specific here. All right, so here's my text box, here's my question. Let's make sure everything is nice and big. Again, I kind of want it to mirror this stuff over here. I want it to look just as good as this. So let's go ahead and move this down so that it kind of is in line with our number, just like our other questions are. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. Something like that. Because of my background, I'm kind of concerned with my text being legible. So right now, I can read it pretty clearly, but if I wanted to, I could come up here and do a quick little transparent background, kind of like the one that I do have on my actual question, so that I can actually see the question. And if I do an animation correctly here and line this up, I can make it come in and kind of fly in from the left-hand side so that it looks like it's coming out from behind the actual number. All right, so here's my question. And if I do want to put an animation on it, the only animation I would say would actually look really good is kind of a fly in from the right-hand side. And let's change that. Or I'm sorry, from the left-hand side. I don't know my right and left. There you go. And let's make sure it actually happens with previous, because it's a question, so I kind of want it to come in when I play my slide by itself. There you go. I don't want to have to click on that one. I do want to have to click on my answer. All right. So the other thing here is that I'm going to have to insert an image of John Quincy Adams here, because he was the first president to be photographed. And I already have an image of him. What am I going to do with it? I don't know. So here's my image of John Quincy Adams. Let's just say that I do kind of want it to pop up here on the side with the question. I'm going to put an animation on it, but I also need to put some effects on this thing because right now it looks pretty bad. So let me play around here. All right, so I kind of figured out what I'm going to do here. And sometimes it's really hard to be creative when you're working with pictures and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do here is kind of put this shape behind him. I'm going to insert what's called a 12-point star, like this. Make it nice and big so that it can make sure I cover my entire portrait here. There. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say send to back. It's going to basically send the shape behind my picture. And then let's go ahead and make sure I rearrange this thing a little bit better, because I don't want it to cover up my question. And I also want to make sure, boom, just like that, that I do actually have a picture of John Quincy Adams that flies in. Notice how this is kind of touching. I don't want that to happen either. So let's scoot this down a little bit. Maybe like right there, and scoot this guy down too. There. All right, so that looks pretty good. Now what can I do with this shape? Well, of course, first thing you can do is actually add an effect to it. And I don't know. Let's do a bevel. Let's do a glow effect. Just kind of messing around here. And let's animate this thing. Let's make it go. It'd be kind of fun if it spun around. Not the actual picture, just the shape. So let's do a spin, kind of like that. And let's go ahead and make our effect options under timing loop until the end of the slide, or repeat until the end of the slide, and then click on OK. All right, so let's check this slide out. And this is going to take some time of yours today. So right now, question comes in with my picture, not what I want to happen. So let's make sure this stuff actually comes in on click. Okay. So basically, I'm going to animate the picture to fade in. I'm going to make that on click. I'm going to animate this, or I'm going to make this enter on a click as well. So remember, when we're doing more than one animation, you actually have to say, oh, excuse me. Oh, Man, okay. I'm done with my sneezing fit now. All right, so remember when you're adding more than one animation, I already have a spin on here, but I want an entrance animation, and I want it to kind of maybe, let's say, let's just say zoom in, boom, so that it kind of happens like that on a click. So let's make sure that this is the actual picture. Let's make sure that is set to on click, and it is. Let's make sure this is our 16-point star, and make sure that's set to on click, and it is. Let's also make sure my entrance animation comes before my emphasis animation, which is my spin. All right, because if my spin comes first, that's going to be an issue. So let's go ahead and take these two animations. I'm going to hold down Control, take them, and drag them up above our emphasis animation. Okay, so now let's play our slide and let's see what's going on. All right, so question comes in, perfect. I'm going to click my mouse one time. Picture comes in. I do have to click again for my shape to come in, and then I have to click again for my animation to happen. Not what I want to happen. All right, but it is kind of set up to where I can say, this one should be set to on click. I want my zoom to happen with previous. So once I click one time for this picture to come in and the answer to come in, everything's going to kind of start by itself. And again, let's say with previous for this one. Let's play it now. Question comes in, one click, boom, just like that. All right, now I have to kind of make my answer happen. And the trick here, I need it to fly in at the same time, or my animation to happen at the same time my picture happens. All right, so I'm just going to say insert, text box, answer should be down here. John Quincy Adams. Let's go ahead and use Format Painter here. That looks great. And let's make sure that we animate this thing to, let's say, fly in from the bottom. That's fine. And let's make sure that happens with previous, so that when I actually click, I get my picture and I get my answer. Now let's play it. Yes, with one click. There you go. Yes. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to pause this video. Chances are you're going to spend most all period working on these history slides. And your slide should look pretty good, kind of like mine. Make sure that you guys are using shapes, effects, animations, and make sure all your timings are set so that if you were actually giving this presentation to a group of people, your questions don't fly in too soon. I would actually set them all to on click.